Good evening, everybody. What a crazy day. How's everybody doing? Today was heavy. Hey, Tanya. Hey, lady. Hey, Jacqueline. Yeah, I mean, a crazy day. I have a little short list. I'm exhausted, as you can imagine. Some of you may have been, yeah, today was insane, Jared. You may have remembered that on last night's live stream, I did say everyone's saying that Rob would be called on rebuttal, or even back in the day, I remember STS back a couple years ago, and it was like the panels of like John Singer and that crew, which, John Singer's back, I just saw. But it was always, Rob doesn't have anything to offer. Rob didn't know anything about the murder. Rob won't ever be caught. You know what I mean? Everyone always said that. Well, he had a lot of really incriminating things to say, especially about, Donna really saying, how Donna ended it with him, which we knew about from the Over My Dead Body podcast. She said, "I gotta go." He did relay that on the Over My Dead Body podcast, but it was just, gosh, we learned a lot, didn't we? Everyone write down right now what was their favorite thing they learned from Rob. And just to let you know, I'm just going to give you some anecdotes of things that happened today and that I noticed, not in the courtroom, but sort of outside. Then I sort of want to talk really about, the witnesses today and, primarily what we learned and what we saw, what we absorbed from Wendi and from really Robert today. Those were the two big ones. But yeah, Rob is truly a stand-up. Will White. Yeah, we finally got it. What an amazing, honest guy. And to see, Wendi get up there, and then it was kind of, remember, the last trials that we always kind of got that satisfaction or sort of that palate cleanser when Wendi would go and testify, and then we would have Jeff Lacasse come right in afterward and kind of dismantle all of her lies and show you, someone who's obviously lying, someone who's obviously deflecting, can't remember, to someone who's just honest, raw emotion and truth. And so we can feel that. Any normal person, you can just feel that and know that. You can tell when someone's not being truthful with you, and you can tell when someone's being truthful with you. And we always had that juxtaposition of sort of like the angel and the devil with, Wendi, and then Jeff came in and kind of cleared the air. And then, it was so refreshing, reverse it. We had Wendi, and then we had Rob come in and kind of clear the air. And if you think about it, with the murder and Wendi's behavior and everything going on, you really, you had Jeff to come in and rebut Wendi. And this time, because it's all about mom and family, you had Rob to come in. And that's an added on top of Jeff. So it's like the noose is tightening around Wendi and her family's lies. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. So I just want to, it was a heavy day, but let me get here to my notes. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of B-roll because I just don't have a lot of time. I'm not at home. Normally I have double monitor, so I'm, much more effective. Okay, first thing I want to point out is I do have a little bit of audio, and it's just sort of a top it off. We'll start light here tonight. I noticed, we all noticed with Jackie, it was kind of weird how, the prosecution had this like tight, crisp, technical presentation. And then, Jackie came up and, had easels and cardboard cutouts. But it was really funny because in there she goes, the prosecution had this amazing, great, wonderful, slideshow. I'm old school, so I'm going to be doing this. And it's just so funny. That's her little hokey act, is I'm old school. I don't know nothing. And then I noticed again, she did it again today. And it was just a really funny moment. And once you start recognizing a couple of these, you start recognizing what her stick is. She knows all this stuff, but she's just acting like she doesn't know, that she's ignorant, like she's this hokey old school lawyer, it's almost like this old Southern lawyer, it's very, watch this. I just thought this was very disingenuous. And it slides in. She did it again. She did the old school. And I'll tell you, I'll link it back to something it reminds me of that's quite funny. Hold on one second. Okay, she does it right. This hokey, I don't know nothing. I'm just this old Southern town lawyer. You're going to have to explain to me technology. I don't get this. It's such an act. Let me see if I got it.
Correct?
Yes.
And becoming tenured is not like an automatic thing. You have to work towards that, right?
Yes.
It takes a lot of time.
Yes.
And he wanted to Skype with them,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And that, I'm sorry, I'm old, but that involved like a computer where you can see each other while you're talking. Is that right?
I think now.
Did you just hear what she just said? Let me turn up the volume. Ugh.
In Broward County, that's like where Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
And he wanted to Skype with them,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And that, I'm sorry, I'm old, but that involved like a computer where you can see each other while you're talking. Is that right?
Oh, I'm old. Skype, does that involve like a computer where you can see each other or something? I mean, what even is that? Before we, we're breaking for the day. Well, around lunch, I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick walking around, and I had something to do, so I didn't go over and say hi. But when I did, he was gone. And then I was told I didn't see her, but then I saw on social media that June was there. So it seems like we're running a bit behind if we had both June and Ryan waiting to go in and testify. So today went long. Wendi, I don't think was supposed to go that long. So I just thought that was interesting. Another thing I noticed, I was sitting there early on, I'm just sort of thinking the day. First things first, when I went in the courtroom, of course, I get there and Harvey's sitting there like at the door. And then he gets, and I can see he's opening the door as I'm walking around. And of course, he stands back and opens the door for me and my friend who I happened to run to in the parking lot. And I was just so funny after that thing yesterday I did in the elevator doors. And today, the second day of trial, and this like very like twist of fate, serendipity, Harvey ends up holding the courtroom doors for me just by happenstance as I enter the courtroom, which is really funny. And then my friend that I was walking into the courtroom with was listening to my live stream last night. And I was like, we got a little laugh about that. I thought that was funny. The next thing that came up that I thought was really shocking is that the defense made a really big stink about the divorce folder coming in and things coming in, not having the foundation. So that forced, it was completely unplanned. That forced investigator Newland to come in and have to introduce the documents, which we all saw, which forced the prosecution to put these incriminating emails and things that were not good to be read, things that the defense wanted to keep out, wanted to limit, obviously, by not wanting the divorce file to come in. It forced what they wanted to come in for Detective Newland in Georgia to throw up on the screen in front of the jury before Wendi, and set the foundation for just how the vitriol and all those emails and everything before Wendi got on and tried to act like it was a pleasant, so it ended up working against them. And it was a bad decision because it ended up highlighting the Streisand effect, exactly of what they didn't want to come in. And it forced the unplanned. That was kind of the big delay there where everything was pushed back. So I thought that was hilarious. The defense was making a big stink about letting the divorce filings come in because they didn't want all that nasty emails, all that stuff by Donna, and showing how Donna was involved in the divorce and how crazy she was. And by doing that, it forced them to bring the investigator to have to introduce them and one by one reading them on the screen. Oh, so dumb, so dumb. And then it highlighted all this negative, nasty stuff right before Wendi was supposed to come on the stand and try to spin a softer story. So it was great. I was really happy about that, even though it was a delay, technically. Another thing that happened around lunch is that I went to the bathroom right at the break. There was a break with Wendi. And so I went to the bathroom and I ran, and I was the first one in the bathroom. I was the only one in the bathroom. And I went in a stall. And next thing you know, I come and I see something come in and I look under the stall. It's Wendi's shoes. It's those espadrilles, which you couldn't miss. There were espadrilles, and I looked under. And so basically, Wendi is peeing right next to me. I hear her peeing. And so we were having this very intimate moment. We were right next to each other going to the bathroom. We were the only ones in this bathroom. I'm like, is she the only one in here? That is so crazy. But then I came out because she wasn't talking to anybody. I came out, and the woman that's in the blazer and the Adidas shoes, not Morgan, was in there with her back against the wall, kind of by the sinks closest to the door. So to kind of protect Wendi, I guess she's like a victim advocate or something. And so I washed my hands, and then I leave. And when I go to open the door, Morgan Honeycutt's whole body is like there, like blocking so that no one can come in. And I walk out and look at her like, move, you freak. I'm just trying to get out of the bathroom. And so, but I thought that was pretty funny. So of course I know that I've got Wendi in the bathroom. So I go and I walk to the end of the hallway where the courtroom doors are. And I just lean up, turn my phone on, video, wait for a minute, and then they come walking out. I'm just taped the whole thing. I put this up on my Patreon because it's just easier for me to do that during the day. Because if I end up putting all my stuff in, I don't have time to watermark it, and I just want to share the real day experience with you guys. And so the easiest way for me to do that and just not get raped by other content creators, and it happens. This is just the way I'm doing it. And so anyway, I'm going to take you to my Patreon. It's so much easier doing that than uploading videos to this StreamYard. So I'm going to go there now. Let me pull it up. I actually got the video of Wendi walking down the hallway. It was so good. I actually did put it on my Instagram stories. Some of the stuff's just too good not to share further. So hold on, let me pull it up for you guys. Another thing that happened while I'm pulling this up for you is that Wendi came into the courtroom to testify, and she sat right next to her dad on the bench in the front row. And Laura came up to her and goes, "No, get up." And then she moved into the other side, the opposite side of the bench. It was really funny. And then another thing happened where when she left the courtroom on her way out, you probably saw on camera, she went and gave Harvey a kiss on the cheek and walked out. Okay, let me hit my share screen. Okay, watch this. Hold on. They know I'm right there. That's been so funny. They know I'm waiting for him too. They probably were like, she's out there. Okay, let's go. Look at the look this woman gives me. Oh, right, first of all, that was kind of rude. Let me play it all in its entirety, and then we'll go back and analyze it. It's only 17 seconds long. Okay, so let me try to do this. So what happened here is, okay, so I've come out the bathroom and I'm at the end of the hallway. I'm perched. I'm ready for them to come out because I'm going to get that action shot. So this woman right here in the blazer, I saw her come up and introduce herself and give Harvey like a handshake on the first day of trial. And someone said that she was a victim advocate, and that's all I've heard about it and who she is. So I know she's not sitting next to Harvey. She's kind of sitting in the back when she comes to trial. She seems to be some sort of an escort situation here. So that's what I think it is, or some distant cousin or something. I don't know what her role is formally. I didn't ask her, but look at the look she gives me. And she was the one with her back to the wall, kind of like standing, protecting, kind of like watching the stalls, like watching Wendi in the stalls. And Morgan was right out kind of behind her, blocking from anyone from going in. So when I opened the door, I was like, hey, get out. What I think is, I don't think they knew I was in there. I think they walked in thinking that the bathroom was empty. And it was shocking that it was me in there. But look at the look, the woman in the in the brown jacket gives me, and then listen to Morgan's flip-flops. First of all, don't wear flip-flops to court. It's a murder trial. Have enough respect for the victim's family to cover your entire feet and don't go flip, 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 flip when you're walking through into the courtroom. Come on. I know it's Florida. It's still a courtroom, and this is still about the murder of an innocent person. Have some respect, Morgan. So anyway, but just watch the look this woman gives me. Let's do that again. Look at the look. Oh, look, wait. She's so aware of me. There. Morgan let that drop like right on me. I thought that was funny. Anyway, so that happened. But yeah, Wendi and I basically went to the bathroom next to each other today. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was her little espadrilles. I was like, that's Wendi. Oh my gosh. Because I knew she just got off, we broke because she was on the stand. So like, did she just come from the stand? It was really just one of them trial moments, I guess. Okay. So that happened. Okay, so just going over Wendi and Rob testimony. First of all, I just want to have a little audience engagement. What did everybody think? What was the most, just very quickly so I can read it? What do you think was the most significant? And this is Wendi, not Rob. This is not the day, but what do you think is the most significant thing that we learned new, or sort of rephrase? What do you think was a good takeaway from Wendi's testimony today that we learned, or that was a good little nugget? What's your favorite little, part of it? What would be your peak, the highlight of the Wendi testimony? And maybe we can move the conversation, be more interactive that way, be more funner. Yeah, this is a big one right here. Carol, 1953. Wendi said that it was Isom who told her in the car on the way from the restaurant to the police station that Danny had been shot. That is not what she said in the interview at the police station. Well, I don't think it was ever addressed. And I remember on message boards and web sleuths, and for years, it was always a question of, why didn't Wendi ask? Or, it was really weird. We wish we had a body cam of, Craig Isom, or we had something in the car. Isn't it weird she didn't ask about her kids? That's so concerning. And then, someone else said, that they had a friend that was a cop. One time they dropped in and they heard that Wendi indeed didn't ask because that cop went and picked her up. So anyway, all those years, it sounds like they did. They went and said, hey, we need to speak with you. Something terrible has been happened. They said, and then something bad's been happening. Your kids are fine. The police are with them. And then she said in the car that they told her that her ex-husband had been shot, which is very weird because we all can have that visualization and the imagery of Wendi and Craig Isom. And he says, I got to tell you something. Your ex-husband, Dan Markel, has been shot. She goes, what? That huge reaction. It just makes it even more fake. That's the takeaway for me. That huge reaction seems way more fake now if she already knew that Dan was shot. Why the big, she had time to process that. Right? Yeah. T. Cancelo, Wendi, the more specific questions about TV repair time. Yeah. And she said they had little lines. She got much more specific about that TV repair. And Georgia pressed. You know how we always said, we wish Georgia would press. We wish Georgia would press more. And then every commentator would say, well, she's not going to. It's her witness. It's a state subpoena. They don't want to press too far and get something they potentially can't use later because they pressed and got something through her, not through evidence. So, Castigar. But I think that, yeah, we learned a lot more about that TV repair time. Maya says, I was blown away. Wendi couldn't remember where she first heard about Dan's death and claimed it was in the car ride to the police. Yes, that's the first one everyone's throwing out. So, yeah, here we go. Same thing. Eduardo. Do you mean Miguel? That was her boyfriend? Am I missing something about Eduardo? Yep. See, even Ryan, same thing. I'm going up and everybody's, again, everyone's throwing out the same thing. How are they allowed to control the restrooms? I don't know. I came out, so I knew it's her, and I didn't know who else was in there. But I mean, it was like I was in a high school bathroom. I looked and it was like, is that my friend under there? I look and I was like, those are those espadrilles. And then there's a long piece of toilet paper, and all of a sudden, she starts. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then next thing you know, I'm peeing next to Wendi. And I know that's crude to say, but there's no other way to say it. And it was crazy to happen. There was no one else in there. She knew, they knew someone was in there. So then I walk out, and then of course I walk out. And so like, I walk out and there's faucets to wash my hands, mirrors. And then the woman is like standing right here by the paper towel dispenser. And then the door is over here. So she's in between the door and the sink. So I'd have to walk past her on my way out. And so I did, and didn't say anything. And I literally open the door, and I see the back of Morgan Honeycutt. And she was standing there, and she looked back, like kind of shocked someone was coming out. And I looked, and I was like, move, bitch, get out of the way. But I was like, you can't block doors. You can't block doors. It's a courtroom. What if I had a disability and a felon got hurt? I would have to sue her and the Leon County. So it's not good, Morgan. So I came out, they got out, and then I went and took my position because I knew I was going to have a walking shop. And then she came with her bodyguards on the side. It was hilarious. Yeah, she was wearing the same dress, Tia says Wendi was wearing, same thing Wendi was wearing Friday. You can't let a good court dress go to waste. Morgan is Wendi's friend. She is the friend that accompanied her last time to trial and was sitting next to her, and it was photographed with her. And she's a friend. It's not through law school, but she's an older friend of hers. And I was told that someone who looked just like her attended Dan and Wendi's wedding. So she goes way back. Here we go. This is a good one. Wendi, in terms we're talking about things that we learned that were new and kind of eye-opening from Wendi's testimony today as compared to previous testimonies. And Jared says, Wendi and Donna registering the boys in programs in August 2014 with the last name Adelson, 30 days after the murder. And it's so funny, somebody here who is a source in Miami, but has been for years, and I know who they are, and they have real person and professional, but they actually sent me, maybe I'll post it. And they said, post it, but, obviously don't post a picture of Benjamin. And of course I wouldn't, but it's a yearbook photo. I think I may have posted it before in previous live streams, but I'll just repost it. But it's a picture of Benjamin. It's the South Point Elementary yearbook. And I have the cover of that, a photo, and then a picture, and it says, and it's a sweet little face, and it says Ben Adelson, and it's the 2014-2015 school year. So it shows in 2014, they were already going in the fall with the Adelson name. Yes. RN says, Fancy, she finally admitted she had WhatsApp. Yeah. Remember last time she was like, I don't know. I guess, I have it now so we can open up and I guess we could check. I guess she checked. me see here. Sorry, I'm trying to go. A lot of people are just really, it seems like the big takeaway here, people are shocked finding out and I think it's because it was such an open question for us for so long, that and how did they find the car, her, her at lunch, and just all these like questions about the investigation, that there are real answers, but we just don't have them because they have not everything comes out in trial, back to front, or we'd all fall asleep. But that has always been an interesting one. And we got some answers. And I think everybody's like, we finally, weird. It's just that, yeah, right here, 850. 850 was in the courtroom sitting. So she was there firsthand, but she acted all surprised in the interview. And then, yeah, so fake. Everybody's saying this. Baby Doll says, I think Georgia has the WhatsApp messages holding them for Wendy's trial. Otherwise, Georgia would not be bringing them up every trial. Again, that's right. This is another one. Jared says, Wendy saying again that her mother knew about the grandma motion. They have proven she forwarded it 2 times. Yes, this time now they even got more into it, because we just knew about that one forwarding, that 12-person forward where Georgia read the names. Now they said she forwarded it again. And Wendy kept updated on all court filings for years. It's just not possible. Yeah, it's proven twice. We have records of Wendy forwarding it to her mom, and her mom responding, or someone, wow. Let me see what I've got on my list, because people are starting to get into Rob. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. POTR 64. And then the whole bit in the interview where she's all teary when they listen to her voicemail. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Jackie Jantz Maine says the police TPD said they told her kids were okay, but didn't tell her anything about Dan until the interrogation room. I didn't see that in the TPD report. The one that I had. What else? She's lying. They did not tell her about the gunshots in the car. She does this because, guys, think back. Remember, she's done this before. Remember in her podcast that she did 15 months after the murder on the writing class radio, where she says, 15 months ago, and then it has that piano music. I can hear it. It's like intro music in. 15 months ago, my ex-husband was shot, most likely by a professional killer. And he was young, and she goes into it. But she says he was shot in the back of the head by a professional killer. She gets that specific, and I've made this point several times before, but here we go again. That he wasn't shot in the back and the head, so that shows that she's trying to distance herself with a lie. He was shot between the eyes, and as Jackie Fulford loved to recount to us in the most tacky way, but she knows that Dan wasn't shot in the back of the head. It's a nicer way to go. It would fit into the story nicer. And it's a nicer way for her to tell a story, for her to think about Dan going. But she should know that. I mean, we heard today, Rob said that Donna told him that someone walked up to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markell?" and shot him, that's wild. And then Rob very poignantly said, because there's no one that could have told her that except the shooter. So, but yeah, she said, my husband was killed violently and he was young, and he's shot in the back of the head by most likely a professional killer. I forgot I could do this new option. Sorry, never done that. Here, the comments are going to start showing up. Guys, let's look at this too. I'll show a couple more minutes and then we'll go into Rob after this. I was in the courtroom, so I couldn't see the front of Donna, but because of that, sometimes a lot of us, we would watch on our phone and we'll pull and we'll get close to them. So we'll get the flavor and then we'll look if we want to see micro expressions. Donna is absolutely beaming when she sees Wendy for the first time, and it's on camera. Let's watch it. Give me 1 second. Let me see here. Trying to share the screens. Stop screen. Okay. So this will be at the very beginning, Investigator Newland. It's all the divorce files coming in. Hold on 1 second. She knows that she's coming in. Might have to scoot it up a little bit.
You might.
Here it is. Hold on. Look at her. Wendy's up there. How proud she is. Hasn't seen her daughter in 2 years.
I believe even though the jurors indicated they did not have to go to the bathroom at this point, if we are once again dealing with the needs of 14 people, they might be in the bathroom. So wait for the
Her.
knock.
She's actually happy. She can see her daughter. Let's watch that again.
I have to go to the bathroom at this point.
Laura. Look how happy Donna is to see her daughter on her face. I see real joy. See if you can see it too. Sorry, I'm trying to get to that moment. Here she comes. Wendy's coming in. Watch Donna's face. Look, that's my daughter.
Good morning. If you can just take your seat for right now, I will swear you in when the jurors reenter the room. I believe even though the jurors indicated they did not have to go to the bathroom at this point, if we are once again dealing with the needs of 14 people, they might be in the bathroom.
She's
So
legit happy.
wait for the knock.
How about that? I noticed that right away. That's so true. Talk jury to me. The felon is proud of her felon. Yeah, she's like, there she is. Look at her. My daughter. And then how weird was it when it was that moment where Jackie starts going after, like yelling at Wendi, and then she turns, she's like, we should take a break, right, Judge? Did you guys get that? Wasn't that a weird moment? Yeah, it's true. Mary Jones says, and Joel said that Wendi wouldn't even look at Donna. He said she purposely turned her chair. Yes, something so weird was going on. So she purposely, finish reading, purposely turned from the defense table more toward the jury box. And yes, Donna was beaming with pride, so happy to see Wendi. What was so funny is Wendi, and it wasn't toward the jury box, but a couple of times on breaks, especially toward the end, think of like me as I'm Wendy sitting at the box, and the jury is on this side. She would turn her back to the jury and look at the sidebar where the judge and people are talking. And so Donna's over here. She would just sit to the side. So basically her back was to the jury, and she would just look at the judge, and she would be parallel. So we would just see the side of her face. It was very weird. She did that twice. And I would think, why would you? And then I also noticed that something that Jackie was doing that seemed not wise is, I noticed it right away because where I was sitting, Jackie was right in my way of seeing Wendi. So I had to kind of like go around. But Jackie, the way she placed the lectern, she had her back to like the last 2 rows of jurors. So she almost was like in front of the jury box. So like some of the jurors were looking at Jackie's back when she was crossing Wendi, which I just thought, why would you ever have your back to the jury? It was weird where the jury's looking at your back. But anyway, yeah, I just thought that moment where she was beaming for pride, that was like a big tell. That's a big tell. Yes, Wendi does know that Donna is a loose cannon, that if she looked at her, she'd start crying. She'd say, I love you. There would be some moment that Wendi didn't want. Yeah, that Jackie started attacking Wendi and then called for a bathroom break was really weird. One thing I've got here in my notes here is that when Jackie was crossing Wendi, she says, you said that your mom radiates positivity. That was hilarious. That was a really funny line. I wrote that down. And that she's completely selfless. Yeah, for Wendi, because Donna does everything for her. Just gotta get closer to the light. When she was talking about the kids' names, Georgia was, and she was saying, and Wendi was saying, I changed their names socially, but not until I registered them for school. But then you started seeing all that, Donna had used the kids' names to Adelson to register them to like flag football or something, some activity. And you saw that, they read some email about how Lincoln and his grandfather, Harvey Adelson, will be attending something. She goes, yeah, it's awkward, but sometimes I could write in third person. So I don't know. Just seeing her dance around that was pretty ridiculous. I thought that was a really funny moment. I noted it. Yeah, sometimes I write in third person, and while it can sound awkward, it was just she laid that moment on way too thick, went too far for that. I loved when Georgia asked Wendi if she had any formal training in acting. That was really funny. There are 2 younger male jurors, but one's not so young. One is. And they're sitting sort of in the front row together in sort of the center. And one's got a beard and he's always kind of like sitting like he's engaged and longer hair, like a ponytail, but he's like, he just looks like he uses like a beard balm, he's that kind of guy. And there's like a younger clean shaven guy next to him. And I'm just saying this because it just popped in my head and I wrote it down. I want to say it before I forget it, but this was when Rob was testifying. And when they said about how, when Donna hung up and said, I got to go, and hung up after when Rob was trying to talk about how, they had arrested people for Dan's murder and that she hung up. One of the guy with the beard turned to the younger clean shaven guy like this, like, so there was just something like, it's like they locked eyes and were just like, can you believe this? To me, I read that as these 2 guys are just now at this point, not verbally communicating, but maybe unconsciously communicating at how ridiculous that they're both jointly seeing this. And that's a real good sign. It was a real good sign. So that powerful, Rob's testimony was so powerful. And that was a good moment to see that it was confirmation the jurors are getting it. They're seeing it. Rob let that mic drop, and then you could see the jurors kind of not help, but kind of be like, man, we're in this, that's good. That's how powerful it was. I didn't see, someone's asking me if I saw that Wendi and Donna made eye contact. I never saw that. I saw them actually looking separate. Um, I thought it was really interesting. Did you guys notice how Georgia said to really question Wendi on the phone call she made to her mom from the police station, where she basically said, "Can I put it on speakerphone?" What did that mean? Like, she's basically saying, like, are you basically dropping hints, so that your parents know everything's okay and what's going on? Like, are you using a code? Can you, her mom saying, putting it on speakerphone, and her telling her mom to sit down. What does that mean? Did you notice Georgia really laying into the verbiage of that call? I think there might be something more to it. That was interesting. That was new. Let me see what else. Also, my mom sounds surprised, so that seems, so that's good. They really laid in thick with that. I mean, Georgia was really, you kind of felt in the past we were all annoyed because she would just generally attack her and not really like dig in and corner her. This interrogation, not interrogation, but this line of questioning, she is laying and she's pulling out stuff that makes her look really guilty, asking her about things and the thing is, Georgia's asking about things they already know, right? But it makes Wendi look so guilty. Like all this stuff in her email about calling Dan a dark lord. Georgia was ready for every single thing. Did you do this? I don't know. Page 54. They were cornering Wendi, and it was really nice to see. But I thought that phone call to Donna was really interesting. It's basically they were saying the phone call's fishy. Okay, the phone call's fishy. So just pick up. We don't know what it means, but I'm asking you these questions, Wendi, so the jury can hear and pick up. What I'm trying to lay down is that this is a weird call, and maybe when we hear it, when the jury hears it, maybe you can pick up on some of those weird things too. And that's a good move. Oh, the meaning. Oh, thank you, Ryan B. Thank you. The meaning behind gibbers with that little cartoon with the boots. It looked like some Uncle Tom's Cabin Jewish, types. I didn't know what it. I was like, what is that? Remember back when I was a little girl, I spent some time living in New Orleans. And so there was all of that. I saw a lot of that stuff, and there was like a lot of mammies and all that. That was just part of the culture. And I remember like there was this book called like Little Black Sambo that was like very racist. And the cover of it, I remember, and it was introduced to me as this is a racist book that's outlawed, but it's like part of the Southern culture. I mean, there's like songs about it and stuff. But basically, first thing I thought of the way the cover was, it reminded me of that book. And I was like, is this some sort of like the way that they use it? Is it some sort of like is it basically a ding against him being Jewish, which they're Jewish, and is it some sort of slur or something? But that was really weird. Yeah, that was new. I saw that and was shocked, didn't know what it meant. That was real. Does anybody have any good thoughts on that? But they actually threw up like the little bear. That felt sinister, but I can't really know why. A little bear in boots. Somebody know? Yeah, I had a copy. Yeah, a little black. Yeah, it was like a kid's book, but it was obviously, racist. All right, let me see if I have anything else on Wendi. If I missed anything on Wendi, put it in the chat right now because I can see it. I'm going to finish my notes and see if I make sure I got everything, and then we'll move on to Rob. My mom sounds surprised, so that's good. Yeah, I think I'm done with like the major parts of Wendi. Of course, this trial and rewatching things will give us enough to talk about for 20 years, the next 20, or to the next trial, knock on wood. But let's just go, let's move on to Rob. Okay, how were you guys all shocked? Were you shocked that Rob was testifying? so early on in case in chief. Who told you? Who told you that they thought that was going to, who made a prediction hours before that exact prediction? Who made that? And then it came true today. Me. I feel like that guy, you know, there's like that meme of that guy bowling and he hits a strike and he goes, who did that? I did. I'm the one. That's me. I forgot that guy's name. But that bowler that always has outbursts and thinks he's the crap and wears those glass. Did you guys see the glasses that lady in the speaking of those glasses, he had glasses just like the woman in the jury who was wearing those glasses. Did you guys see that? I did. You did. Thank you. She knows what I'm talking about. She gets the joke. I'm going to show it to you. What do I type in? Bowler. Who did? You did. Oh, let me see. Who do you think you are? I am. That's what it was. This guy. Hold on, this guy.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
I did it! At number 5! Are you kidding me? That's right! Who do you think you are? I am! Get it right!
Strike to claim it.
So anyway, that guy. I told you he was going to come and he was going to lay it down, and he did. And that's our next topic. My prediction I got right last night. That's our topic right now. Robert was a blockbuster. First of all, they brought him through. They only have, that I remember, brought one other witness through that back door. He didn't come through like Wendi did or the other people. He came through like a side back door behind the jury. And they only other persons they brought Luis Rivera because he was, you know, and they also brought Katie that way. So they brought Rob through a special entrance, which was really interesting. And hold on one second. And, you know, a lot of people were shocked, but they announced it. People in the courtroom caught it. The next one is Robert Adelson. So people knew, but it was a lot of people were really, the courtroom was like, oh, you know, I saw people's eyes like, what did that exactly what they said? The courtroom had that moment. So anyway, let me see. Let me go back to. So Rob, let me focus on you guys for a little bit. We can do B-roll later. The one thing, let's do the same thing we did with Wendi. Let's open up with Rob. What did we learn? Like, what was the most shocking tidbit? Some may be more obvious. Some of you may want to put like some less obvious things that were kind of surprising, but from Rob, and then I'll put them on topics and we'll talk about them. What Robert Adelson, Dr. Robert Adelson sat in front of the camera. And the reason why all this came in is because they opened the door, an opening, talking about what a sweet, wonderful, caring, selfless person. Like Donna cares more about other people than herself. So they opened up to the door to all of this. So when Rob came on, what was it that you were like, that shocked you? Yeah. When Rob said, Simon for Life said, when Rob said none of them seemed to be concerned about who killed him. Yeah. None of them, he told us that in the Over Dead Body podcast, that none of them would talk to him about it. He'd bring it up and they changed the subject. Maya says, I did not expect for myself to get so emotional about Rob testifying, but I totally cheered up. A lot of people did. It was very emotional. Because, I mean, think about just even if Rob had been, anyway, you've got a son testifying against his mom, who he's been estranged from for several years, and his father sitting back, staring him down. Harvey was just sitting there, just the whole time has just been sitting there staring, being very stoic. That had to be hard as hell, you know, no matter what the relationship. Talk jury to me. I heard that his prison sentence is going to be federal, but like he'll serve out the rest of his time in federal and not state. But I don't think that's formally announced, but I did hear that happened. And he did request that. He wrote Georgia a letter saying, Ms. Kappelman, I would like to request, I've been very cooperative to stay in federal prison and not be transferred to state to serve out my sentence for this murder. But he doesn't have much more time to go. Sounds like Donna never gave Rob's child a second thought after the murder. Rob has 2 kids. He has a son and a daughter. The timing of the call was right before Dan was to give a speech. Yeah. We learned that actually Christopher DeCoste asked Wendi about that. He said, and you called him right before he was about to give a speech. So we actually kind of knew that from the last time. Oh, this is a good one, Tia. Why did Wendi tell Rob not to tell their parents about Jeff? That was really suspect. I think that's because they were all talking about maybe starting to pin this on Jeff or make Jeff some sort of a red herring to deflect and give another option to deflect away from the family. And so I think that during that, they thought, well, I can't have this boyfriend that's gone nuts over me, and maybe I should let Rob know so that my brother, if something happens, gets questioned by the police, just like he did. He said, Rob said on the stand, I went, so I don't know if there's anything, but Wendi told me that she's recently had this boyfriend and sent me pics. She never does that. It was kind of odd for her to be sharing this part of her life all of a sudden, and her in her 30s is doing this, and she's never done it before. And I know that she's had other boyfriends, so it was very weird. And, you know, I think it just was sort of to set the scene. That's my impression. But yeah, what did you guys think? Yeah, 850 said it felt very heavy when Rob said it. It really did. Yeah, Donna, I don't know. I don't care. There was today during some of the more damning parts for Donna, there were some like, you know, I did hear some like audible like gasps when the particularly damning stuff came in, particularly from Robert when he was talking. I didn't. And actually, truth be told, I miss a lot. It's good to be in the courtroom because you get that flavor and you get to see things and see things and pick up things that you could never do just by relying on where the camera points. But at the same time, where the camera points and where it gets those micro expressions and sort of getting to see. And what I really like about court TV with their feed is sometimes they'll have like Wendi testifying. I was watching a clip earlier and they showed Donna real time, like her face watching Wendi. So they do have control of those, the 2 cameras, and they can do side by side instead of just the feed. So I just, I like going back and watching. So you miss a lot when you're in the courtroom. So I always try to like double up so I can get the best of both worlds. But I did notice that because I was just standing there in the courtroom and during break, and I was trying to watch, and it's a little bit of there's a delay. And I was looking at Donna look at Wendi, and I was really trying to look at their reaction and how they were responding. And Wendi wasn't engaging. And I can see Wendi, the front of Wendi, but I can't see the front of Donna. So when I looked on my phone, I looked and I saw Donna just going, you know, like lovesick. And I was like, wow, what a moment. Like her daughter's totally ignoring her. And their daughter would turn sideways So she wasn't looking out straight toward the audience and just sit there. And so we would just see her profile with her back to this was very different. This was a very different Wendi. She was not being argumentative. There was no fight in her. She was, she was very different. And it was nice to see. Jared says, when Donna and Wendi conspired on moving out of Wendi from the house and leaving Danny, Donna renting a place in Tally under her maiden name. Yes, conspired in all caps was a clever way to put it. Donna was even more involved in this thing than we could have ever imagined. We could have ever imagined. I had the Jeff thing. And then also Wendi could really, if things went south or Jeff became like a really viable distraction for a little bit and he didn't go to Kmart or he didn't leave early than planned. And then they had this Jeff figure that they could try to pin it on. It would pull Rob into the family in a limited way, in a safe way. It pulls Rob into that Wendi was dating this guy that went crazy and Rob knew about it. So it makes sense that they're planting seeds like that. That's exactly how you should think about that Jeff picture, Wakulla Springs. Wendi was planting a seed with her brother about Jeff. Why else? I like that when Robert threw in the line about Charlie cared about jet skis and go-karts. That was a nod to the wiretaps, I think. That Wendi shared she was cheating on Dan with a boyfriend. I missed that one. Brenda Hall says, Robert was so impactful and his honesty and demeanor spoke volumes. My heart ached for him knowing how his family members have treated him. I agree. Yeah, this is so sweet. The story that Rob told about how he was shot. Yeah, he said he was asking like medical questions and walked up to his door. Are you Dan Markel? And then shooting him in the head. Rob was fighting back tears. Oh gosh, yes. I would be too. Donna Jacobs, oh, yeah, it's on ET. Carol. Rob was way more concerned, Dan, than Donna, right? GA girl. T. Kinsella, the moment he was recalling that he knew his entire family murdered someone, it was gut-wrenching, his pain. Yeah, because not only is it just a murder, he realized that he's really lost his family because the relationship will never be the same. It wasn't, and he knows morally he's got to cut ties. He's got to think about his own family. And his own conscience. He literally chose his own conscience over his own family. Poor Rob looks so uncomfortable, of course. Yeah, but then he got better. I feel like it was just like at first he's starting, and then once he sunk in, he did good. Mike Skidmore says, it's never mentioned that Robert was not allowed to marry his non-Jewish girlfriend. It was actually, he mentioned it on the Over My Dead Body podcast about how his parents said that they were going to disown him. And that was either them, his family, or the non-Jewish girlfriend. Yeah, his mom told him not to talk to the FBI. Miss Poffles. Yes, this is one of the times when I think the jurors looked at each other, they gasped. This was a significant moment in the courtroom where like everyone, you could feel like the air out of the room, and it was really bad for Donna is when Rob testified. She says, "You don't know anything anyway." Yes, it was wild, Alina. Blonde Bell says, "I got the feeling that Rob carries a sense of pride about being truthful." Yes. Audrey says, Harvey was mean mugging him. Yeah. Well, he just had that face the whole time. Yeah, it might be safer in federal prison. Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely more comfortable. T-Ken says, I think they left out the marriage stuff with Rob because it wasn't necessary and it would cause pain to rehash that with the Rob family. No, I don't think it's anything to do with pain. I think that it would be too prejudicial. I'm sure that this is the stuff that they were working out in camera about Rob, all that in camera stuff about Rob. Is they talking about negotiating what could come in and what couldn't come out. And Georgia probably just says, we'll keep the history, even though it's highly relevant, because controlling and getting it, and maybe it will come out later another way, but that controlling, meddling in the kids' lives, it's on brand. Luis was very important. He's truthful. Yes. Georgia Girl, yeah, federal prison is known to be much better than state, just better accommodations. You have more access to, things to, amenities, I guess is what you would say, or just generally known to be better, safer, cleaner. You get more access to like tablets and things. That's putting it lightly. Every time I see him, I'm like, what a weak man. No, they did. Rob and Harvey embrace? No. Rob went in and out the side door, and he went in a side door and went out a side door, so he didn't have to go past his family. And I'm sure they did it so he didn't have to have a look at him or have an interaction, which was awesome. Robert could not look at his mother after he told how Donna would not talk about the real killers. I'm sure he didn't look at her at all. Jill Kelly says he was being set up to report Jeff to the police. And he did. He did. He said he went in and said, I don't know, this is something. I like how when they got up on rebuttal, Jackie said, when they were talking about how Donna called Rob and said, don't go to the police. What I thought was really funny is that they got back, Jackie got on the rebuttal, they go, Michael Weinstein, who was acting as your family's lawyer, basically told you to tell everyone not to talk to police. So they always blame it on their lawyers. They always hide behind their lawyers. Don't talk to police. Don't talk to anyone. Don't be helpful. Where you got Rob, someone's been murdered that he cares about and he knows, and the police are coming saying, what do you know? What can you help us? Of course you're going to talk to the police. And they're saying, don't. So it just, Michael Weinstein. Michael Weinstein also assured Jim Lewis, who was Sigfredo's attorney, and that the family wouldn't be talking, the Adelsons, and so to lock it down, prisoner's dilemma, don't talk, Katie. You've nothing to worry about. The family won't talk. And so that was a big problem. And that was why Michael Weinstein was getting on was being called as a witness. And Jim Lewis was also there on the witness list. And they seemed to drop that narrative, even though David Oscar Marcus and Tara Kawas, which is still really not known if they're going to call them and pursue that line. But if we're behind, we know in terms of the schedule. Rob's a big one. Rob's so emotional that I'm still kind of digesting it. I need to watch it again in its entirety. But I'm going to go soon because it's almost 10:45 and I got to get up early. Don't be late. Here we go, Alexis. Yes, the bear's wearing boots, Jew in boots, jib, and they extended it to jibbers. I hope they flush that out more. They kind of just left that hanging. Or maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. Sometimes when I'm either looking at the jury or looking over here, I can get very distracted. So I always think I have to go back and watch. GA Girl says, didn't Dan say to Wendi at some point, I'm afraid I'm the only one who knows how depraved you are. I see what he was talking about. Yeah, he said, everyone thinks you're nice, but I'm the only one that really knows that you're not truly nice. Harvey does not have dementia. Harvey is perfectly healthy. Harvey's perfectly healthy. He's fine. He's just like, he's a chump. He's like, you know. Yeah, he does seem like he knows what's going on. He's just goofy. You know what I mean? All right, guys. I'm sorry I'm leaving a lot of comments. I just can't get through them all. I gotta go to bed. But let me read through my Patreon, and then they'll probably have some good questions in there. Someone wrote as a comment, Donna tried to keep her own children, infants, and her husband. When Wendi gave her 2 new ones, Dan Markel became an obstacle to be removed. Yep. Have you, this is so sweet, asked me, have you seen any evidence Wendi was told Dan was shot while in the police car? I haven't seen it. I've just, what Wendi said, but I want to go back and re-listen to what Isom said. It seems that there was some differences there. Someone wrote, I've always thought that Charlie and Donna's jail calls about the stupidity of Tallahassee jury were as close to as they would get to the calls as they planned to have about how stupid they were to fall for this defense. They planned to have that convo when Charlie was heading home in the passenger seat of Rashbaum's car and said he was in a psych observation cell. Yeah. And soon Donna may be in that same cell, especially if she gets convicted of murder 1. But hey, we only need conspiracy. We only need solicitation. We do not need murder 1. Murder 1 is justice, but we really do only need one charge. She's too old. Someone, Anika wrote, Charlie sent Wendi a photo of himself and Katie Halloween 2013. That was new. This is coming. And why didn't they show this last time? The Wendi? Maybe they'd argue it somehow that it was sent to Wendi and it just wasn't relevant or something. The one of him and Katie at Key West, I think. And it was shown on the screen, but not on the feed. Oh, interesting. Do you know which one? Yeah, it's the same one. You know, the one where they're staying and Charlie looks, it's the same one you've always seen when Katie's in a white tank top, spaghetti strap. They have like a sunset behind them. Her hair's kind of in a ponytail. It's the same one that they asked Wendi, saying, is this what your brother and Katie looked like at the time of the murder in previous trials? So that's the one. But I did not know that he sent it on Halloween on the date that she pulled from the house. He was like, look, I got the answer to our problems right here in this picture. Pull out of the house. Look, I'm with the woman that's going to help set it up. Let me see what else. All right, that's pretty much all I got for you. Go to court tomorrow. Yeah, it's nice to see you, Catastrophe. Georgia is limiting evidence to as needed to convict. See, Catastrophe has her Wendi trial 1 and 2 dress on in her photo. Okay, guys, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Yeah, people saying that you didn't see that pic on the stream, don't worry about it. It's the same one. We've seen it before. We just didn't know that Charlie had texted it to Wendi, but I guess that's how they got it all along. So if they had Charlie's phone or Wendy's phone, if they had Wendy's phone, if they made a Cellbrite copy of Wendy's phone, then they've got that picture. Okay, guys, have a good night. Bye.